Hey guys, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. They are in the courtroom, but they haven't got started yet. Um, there's no sound, so ma'am is taking notes. I don't know, like I don't know. I'm just gonna. She's looking very frail, but I mean, obviously, being in jail. And also, I don't know if the conditions that she stated that she had were accurate or not, but if what she said was true, I mean, it is what it is. Jail is not kind to anyone. Anyway, good morning, guys. We are live. It's Wednesday. We are into day 3. I mean, they're saying day 2, but it's day 2, I guess, of active trial. The first day was jury selections and things. Good morning. If you were expecting me over on Love Lies and Lace Fronts, I need to put up a note so everyone knows I'm over here on this morning. So I need to do that. But you guys, good morning, good morning, good morning. Get your coffee, get your biscuit, get your breakfast sandwich, get whatever. So I'd had a chance to go through some of yesterday. They started out the trial. I think the first witness was the guy who um she almost tried to make him seem creepy. The guy from the neighborhood who had the jump rope over his shoulder. He actually has a 13-year-old son who used to play with Ivan and um so Isaac, and so the two boys, two of Miss Owens' kids. Um, Hi India. Yeah, I'm over here. I need to put a note up. Um, over on Love Lies and Lace Fronts. So they tried to make him almost seem like when he said, "Oh, he makes the kids work out. He makes them do this, that, and the third." He's a guy who had been in the military for almost 14 years. He was in border patrol. So the guy's solid as far as we know. We have no reason to think he's anything other than a neighborhood guy who cares about the kids and was active in the neighborhood, kind of trying to be a positive real role model, male role model, and being interactive with the kids, because let's face it, a lot of us don't have time to get out and do those things. So maybe he worked from home. They didn't really talk to him about what his profession is, other than they did um, make that distinction regarding his military service, working for Border Patrol. He's an active dad. His kid is the same age as Miss Owens' two boys. Um, and that was it. So just to kind of clear that up, because it seemed like in the body cam, when she would reference that guy, it wasn't positive. But did Susan say anything positive about anybody? She's very kind of negative, which is probably why she's in the situation that she's in right now. Guys, we're watching the state of Florida versus Susan Lawrence. Susan Lawrence is accused of, which we know she did it. It's another one of these Sarah Boone type situations. We know she did it, but the circumstances revolving around the case is what's being contested. And she's trying to say that she felt like she had imminent danger. And that is the reason for her discharging her weapon. There's still no sound. So, uh, yeah, she doesn't look in perfect health. I think most people in jail don't look amazing, especially if you've been there a period of time. There's no sound. Let me check another live feed and see if it's just no sound. But maybe the judge has to do it.
Yes, Judge.
Okay, here we go.
I see Ms. Lawrence is here. Anything that needs to be brought to my attention before we proceed?
Not from the state, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
Bring your jurors back in, please.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna go on silent, and unless there's any reason to pull over, um, we're gonna let this play. So, and when they take breaks, we'll talk. I'm just testing out a couple of setups just to see what flows better. So I think they're bringing in the jury. Yeah, I think, I'm sure it was many other things because as we saw in the interrogation, but solitude, extreme solitude, I'm sure didn't help her anxiety. And she seemed anxiety ridden, but I'm definitely not giving her any excuses or passes at all. So she probably would have had less anxiety had she stopped paying so much attention to what was going on in the neighborhood. Like, it's bothering you because you're letting it bother you. You know what I mean? And there's the family. Now, as far as who everyone is, I don't know, but the lady in the middle with the twists or the braids going into her hairstyle, that's the mom. That's the mother of Miss AJ Owens.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, you don't have to sit in the same seats every time. You're free to move around. But ironically, I find everyone on the jury goes back to the same seat all the time. Maybe force of habit. Good morning to all of you. I want to just check with you as I do every day to make sure, and by show of hands, has anyone contacted you about this case or said anything to you in your presence about this case? I see no hands. Have any of you contacted anyone else about this case or spoken with anyone else about this case? I see no hands. Have any of you gone online and looked up anything about this case or communicated about this case with anyone online? I see no hands. I thank you very much. We are ready to proceed with our next witness. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. State calls Dr. Shondell Morford.
Thank you, sir. You need to.
Yes. Thank you.
Nothing plugged in right now.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony about to be able to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
Have a seat. Just want to remind everyone to turn your cell phones off, okay?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, I'm Shondell Morford.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a forensic pathologist.
Where are you currently employed?
I work with my own consulting company currently.
You're with where, I'm sorry?
My own consulting company.
Okay, and what do you do in that consulting company?
I do forensic pathology work, expert witness work, as well as medical malpractice cases.
Where did you work before your consulting?
The District 5 Medical Examiner's Office in Leesburg.
How long did you work there?
2.5 years.
From what period of time?
Between 2021 and the end of 2023.
Can you describe to the jury your educational background and experience that allows you to do forensic pathology?
Sure. I have a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from the University of the Virgin Islands, a master's degree in criminal justice from Kaplan University. I have a medical degree from Boston University School of Medicine. I completed a 4-year combined residency program in clinical pathology and anatomic pathology from Orlando Regional Medical Center, after which I completed a fellowship in forensic pathology at the Miami-Dade Medical Examiner's Office. And I'm board certified in anatomic pathology, clinical pathology, and forensic pathology.
What, as a medical examiner, what were your duties? What did you do on a day-to-day basis?
On a daily basis, I perform forensic autopsies, determine cause and manner of death, review toxicology reports, and approve cremations.
Are you licensed to practice medicine in Florida?
I am.
All right. You mentioned a couple terms. First, pathology. What is that?
Pathology is a study of disease by definition.
You mentioned clinical pathology.
Sure.
What is that?
So clinical pathology is a study of disease based on the analysis of liquid tissues, so blood, urine, laboratory medicine in the general sense.
And I think you then mentioned anatomical pathology. What is that?
So anatomical pathology is a study of disease based on the examination of solid tissues. So we're looking at organs, any biopsies, and it also includes some autopsies as well.
And finally, you mentioned the term forensic pathology. What is that?
So forensic pathology is a branch of pathology that deals with performing forensic autopsies and determining the cause and manner of death from those autopsies.
Can you estimate about how many autopsies you've performed in your career?
Over 3,000.
You said you were board certified in certain areas. First, what areas are you board certified in?
Sure. Clinical pathology, anatomic pathology, and forensic pathology.
And what is involved in becoming board certified? What does that mean?
So you first have to complete a certain amount of training requirements. In this case, I probably did 5 years of additional training on top of medical school. After fulfilling certain requirements, you have to take several examinations and pass them as well.
Can you describe for the jury what an autopsy is and what it involves?
Sure. An autopsy involves examination of a body of somebody who's deceased. So you're examining the body from head to toe, front to back. You're noting everything from the color of the eyes, the color of the hair, any scars, any tattoos, any unusual marks. You're also noting any injuries or diseases that you find as you go along.
Have you been permitted to give opinion testimony in the field of forensic pathology in court before?
I have
Can you estimate about how many times?
around 45 or 50.
Your Honor, I'd ask that this witness be permitted to provide opinion testimony in the field of forensic pathology.
Any objection of voir dire?
No objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow her to testify and form an opinion, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to direct your attention to June 3rd of 2023. Did you perform an autopsy on a woman named Ajike Owens?
I did.
How did Miss Owens's body arrive to the medical examiner's office?
So we got a call from law enforcement about a shooting that occurred. In this case, she had already been transported to the hospital. So after we got a call, investigation took all the information, and then her body was later transported from the hospital to our office.
And where is the office of the medical examiner located in the 5th district?
It's in Leesburg.
Is a unique case number assigned to each autopsy that is performed by the medical examiner's office?
Yes,
What was the autopsy number associated with the autopsy of Miss Owens?
it was ME 23-1380.
How old was Miss Owens?
She was 35,
How tall was she?
5 feet 7 inches,
And how much did she weigh?
293 pounds.
During the course of the autopsy that you performed, were photographs taken of Miss Owens as well as the injuries that you noticed on her?
Yes, photographs were taken.
Showing Mr. Martin states to apply for identification. Take a look at that item, the photos in it, see if you recognize them.
Yes, I do.
Generally, what are those photos?
So the autopsy photos taken at the time of the examination.
And do they fairly accurately depict the Miss Owens as well as her injuries and items you may recover from her body?
They do.
time, the state would move Y into evidence as 16, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
States Y by unanimous is states number 16.
May I have access to the TV as well?
I put it on there, but they had something else on there. Make sure you got what you want on there.
Plugged in. Your Honor, if you could take that off 1 second and try to fix it.
Yeah.
It's plugged in and hard.
While Mr. Smith is working on that, Doctor, during the autopsy, was law enforcement present?
In this case, they weren't.
Okay. Did you see any evidence of medical treatment on Miss Owens's body?
Yes, she had several pieces of medical evidence. She had defibrillator pads on her chest. She also had an intravenous catheter in one of her legs as well.
I can go a little old school. Photograph 1 of stage 16. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes,
And is that the person that you performed the autopsy upon?
it is.
Did you locate any injuries to Miss Owens's hand during the course of the autopsy?
Yes.
Describe the injury that you located.
So she had a superficial injury, what we call an abrasion, to the right hand.
Showing photograph 2 of stage 16, does that indicate does that represent the injury that you noticed?
Yes, it is.
Can you describe the injury to the jury?
So the injury was pink purple in color, superficial, meaning it was just like just a superficial part of the skin that was injured, nothing deeper.
Not considered a life-threatening injury.
No, it was not.
Is the appearance of the injury, in your opinion, consistent with being caused by a projectile or a graze from a projectile?
It's not.
Why not?
So with projectile wounds or graze wound, you have certain characteristics. For instance, a graze wound is a wound that's caused from the projectile scraping over your skin. With those wounds, they tend to be like more elongated, and you tend to have what's called skin tags pointing in the direction the projectile is coming from. With, say, an entrance type gunshot wound, it's more like round, regular punched out. And in this case, it's only one superficial wound. Like I said, there's nothing deeper, so there's no penetration at all.
Could you tell based on the appearance of the injury whether the injury was fresh or had begun healing?
It was fresh.
Okay. Do you have an opinion as far as what could have caused that injury?
It could have caused by several things. Maybe, her hand hitting the floor as she fell, or maybe something from the door, something hitting her hand.
Did you locate a gunshot wound on Miss Owens?
Yes, I did.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute, but in your opinion, the injury to her right wrist was not consistent with a gunshot wound, correct?
Correct.
I understand. Did you also take x-rays of Miss Owens's body prior to performing the autopsy?
Yes, we did.
And why is that done?
We take x-rays to see whether or not there are projectiles within the person. And if there is projectile, then we want to know where the projectile is located. That way we can access the projectile easily while doing the autopsy.
Showing you photograph 3 of stage 16, do you recognize that?
Yes.
And you notice the projectile in the x-ray?
It's hard to see, actually. I can't see from that.
That better?
Yes, I can see it now.
Okay. And where is that on the photograph? That's on the show to the jury in a second. Where was
So it's on the right abdomen area.
my finger located where it is?
Yes.
And what we're looking at is a kind of a white object type area in the x-ray.
Correction. Yes, correct.
Did you locate the corresponding gunshot wound on Miss Owens's body?
Yes, I did.
Where was that located?
It was on the right side of the chest.
Show me photograph 4 of state 16. What does this photograph show?
That shows the entrance gunshot wound on the right chest.
And can you point yourself where that was located?
Sure. So it was about right here.
And can you tell by the appearance of the gunshot wound whether it's an entrance wound or exit wound?
Yes, I
How
can.
can you tell that?
So entrance gunshot type wounds are more what we call regular, somewhat round or a little ovoid. They tend to be more punched out, whereas exit gunshot wounds are typically irregular, almost like the projectile tearing the skin as it exits.
Did you find an exit wound?
There was none.
Is that consistent with the x-ray showing the presence of projectile inside of her body?
It is.
Did you locate any soot around the entrance wound?
There was none.
Okay, and what is meant by soot and why is that significant?
So soot is completely burned gunpowder. It's almost like dust, it's dust-like, so it wipes off easily. And when soot is present, it tells us that it's a close gunshot wound within 6 inches.
Did you locate any what's called stippling around the entrance wound of the gunshot?
There was none.
What is stippling?
So stippling, it's unburnt gunpowder particles now. And with stippling, it tends to have like bigger particles causing superficial injury to the skin. And it's more permanent. We call it tattooing because it looks like little black marks around the wound. And you tend to see stippling with intermediate range gunshot wounds. So from like 6 inches to about 2.5 feet.
Would you expect to find any soot or stippling in the entrance wound of this gunshot if she was shot through a door?
I would not, because in this case, there was an intermediate target. So any soot or stippling would actually be on the door and not on her.
And you're not saying there would be soot or stippling on the door, but if it was going to be there, it would be on the door as opposed to in her body.
Correction, as it depends on the range of fire from the door.
Okay. Can you describe to the jury the damage that the projectile caused as it entered her body and proceeded through it?
Sure. So the projectile entered the right side of the chest. It then hit the 4th rib, after which it went through her right lung. It went through the heart. It went through the esophagus. It also went through the aorta, after which it went through the diaphragm, the spleen, and it was recovered from the left lower abdomen area.
Can you describe the path of travel the projectile took?
Sure. So it went from right to left and downward.
Can you point where the projectile was actually located?
Sure. Can I stand?
Yes, ma'am.
So entrance was here and the projectile was found around this area.
Now, I know we see on TV all the time that medical examiners are able to say exactly how a person positioned when the person was shot. Can you do that?
Not in this case, because there's so many factors that come into play. Without knowing the position that the shooter was in, how tall the shooter is, the position of the hand and the gun, you can't really say that.
Did you recover the projectile that we saw in the x-ray from her body?
Yes, it was recovered.
Can you explain how you did that?
Sure. So while we are doing the autopsy, I'm noting the injuries as I go along. And from the x-ray, I have an approximate location of where the projectile should be. So I can see I'm looking at the injuries and then I follow the path of the projectile until I could actually find the projectile. It's not always easy to find, sometimes you have to dig a bit deeper. But in this case, it was like in the left abdominal wall. And after which we retrieved it and submitted it as evidence.
You must have been introduced this photograph 5 of state 16. What's the show?
That's a projectile.
Is that the one you recovered from?
Yes.
notice the mark that states it's a Z for identification. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What letter did you say?
Z.
Z.
What is that?
So this is the envelope with my signature and with the projectile is.
Can you open that up, look inside, tell me if you recognize the
I
content?
can. So yes, I do. It's a projectile inside the envelope.
And what is it?
A projectile.
Is it the same or substantially the same condition as when you collected it from Miss Owens's body?
It is.
This time state would move Z as in zebra into evidence as 17.
No objection, Your Honor.
The objection Z will be in evidence as states number 17.
Except for the injury to her right wrist and the gunshot wound, did you see any other evidence of fresh trauma to Miss Owens's body?
There was none.
Was a toxicology screen done on Miss Owens?
Yes, one was performed.
And what are you looking for when you do that?
So we're looking for any drugs or substances in the body.
What were the results of that toxicology screen?
Her screen was completely negative.
Completely negative, meaning no alcohol, no drugs, nothing in her system.
Correct.
Are you anticipate being paid for your time here today, correct?
Correct.
In any work that you've done to prepare for trial?
Correct.
What do you charge an hour?
For criminal cases, 300 per hour.
And about how many hours have you devoted to this case since you left the medical examiner's office?
So including trial prep, doing my own, and including driving here, which is about like 2 hours each way. So it's probably around 5.5 to 6 hours.
And when you worked for the medical examiner's office and actually performed the autopsy, you were getting paid because you were a state employee through your salary, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and now that you left, you're entitled to be paid for the time since you've left.
Yes, correct.
Fair enough. Thank you, doctor. No other questions, Your Honor.
Before we have cross-examination, I want to remind everybody in the courtroom, your phone needs to be off unless you're a credentialed member of the media. Please do not text from the courtroom. If I see you texting from the courtroom or appearing to be texting from the courtroom, your phone's going to be seized and returned to you at the end of the session. Just fair warning to everybody, okay? Cross-examination. Sure.
Judge, I just had a couple other questions.
Yes, sir.
Did you determine the cause of death in this case?
I did.
What was it?
So the cause of death was a gunshot wound of the torso.
What was the manner of death?
Homicide.
Cross-examination.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning.
Hi, good
Nice to
morning.
see you again.
Likewise.
Miss Owens was 35 years old when she passed away. Is that right?
Yes, she was.
And based on the autopsy that you did on her, she was well developed and well nourished when she passed, right?
Correct.
She seemed healthy and strong based on your autopsy. Is that right?
Yes, she was.
She weighed 293 pounds at autopsy, right?
Yes,
Which means that that's what she weighed when she passed away, right?
correct.
And she was 5'7" at autopsy, right?
Yes.
Now, you have no idea what caused the abrasion to her right hip. Is that right?
So I'll say it's a blunt force injury. So something, I guess it's something like blunt force trauma, or maybe like her striking a hard surface or something else striking her.
The trajectory of the gunshot wound was downward. Is that right?
Yes, it was.
And the projectile entered her body in her right chest,
Yes,
and it traveled from right to left. Is that right?
correct.
In a downward angle.
Correct.
There's no way that you can tell us if the projectile going through the ribs and organs it went through, whether that influenced the trajectory, correct?
It could. The rib is a bone, so it could slightly change the angle of the projectile.
But you can't tell us with any amount of certainty.
Correct.
You can tell us that Miss Owens was most likely in an upright position when she was shot, but nothing else in regard to her positioning. Is that right?
Correct.
And you cannot tell us if she was right or left or anything like that, correct?
I can't.
Now, because there was a door between the gun and Miss Owens, you can't tell us how far the gun was from Miss Owens. Is that right?
I cannot.
Not without looking at the door, right?
Correct.
And you haven't looked at the door,
I have
correct?
not.
You testified that the manner of death is homicide, right?
Yes, I did.
And the term homicide and the way you are using it is a medical term, not a legal term, correct?
Correct.
In the medical community, homicide refers to a death occurring by the hands of another, right?
It is.
So in other words, by saying homicide in this case, you are saying that someone else shot Miss Owens, correct?
Yes.
It wasn't suicide or anything like that, right?
Correct.
This medical determination does not answer legally if a manslaughter occurred, right?
Correct.
This medical determination does not answer legally if a crime occurred, correct?
Correct.
This medical determination does not answer if legally this occurred because an individual was acting in self-defense, right?
Correct.
This medical determination does not answer if legally this occurred because an individual was standing their ground, correct?
Correct.
Punching, kicking, and or hitting another individual with fists and other parts of the body can cause great bodily harm, is that right?
Repeat that question.
Anytime punching, kicking, and or hitting another individual with fists and other parts of the body can cause great bodily harm, right?
It can.
Especially if the person being hit has medical infirmities and is older, correct?
It can. It depends.
Your Honor, I have no further questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Did you redirect?
No questions, Your Honor.
She excused?
She is.
Have a nice day, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did you ever solve the issue of the screen? I just want the record to reflect what was on the screen. There was nothing objectionable on the screen. It was just basically a blank screen with a state logo. So I turned it off, but there's nothing on there.
I'm just going to say the defense lawyer tried it just to make it seem like AJ Owens is like the big bad scary wolf, the tall 200 plus pound angry lady who was knocking at the door. I guess that's the defense that they're going with. My bad.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I'll get it later.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Jamie Williamson.
And where are you employed, Ms. Williamson?
I'm employed with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement out of the Jacksonville Regional Operations Center.
How long have you been employed with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
I've been employed there since January of 2008.
What is your position at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
Currently, I'm a senior crime laboratory analyst in the firearms section.
What are your duties as a senior crime laboratory firearms analyst?
I do microscopic comparisons of fired ammunition components, so fired bullets, cartridge case shot shells. I compare them to each other, as well as to if I have a firearm, I can test fire that for operability and to make test fires that I can compare those test fires to anything collected from an evidence,
How
or
long
from a crime scene.
Yes, ma'am. How long have you been in that role at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
I've been a senior analyst, excuse me, since October of 2022, and I've been an analyst in the firearms section since March of 2018.
Can you briefly describe to the jury your educational background, ma'am, and your training experience for your position in Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
I have a bachelor's in cellular molecular biology, and I have my master's in criminal justice. I began my career with FDLE, or the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, in January of 2008 in the firearms section. I was a forensic technologist, where my primary duties were testing firearms for functionality, just making sure they worked. And then I could enter said test fires into what is called the NIBIN database. It's basically an electronic database that holds all these images of fired cartridge cases, and it can connect, other crimes to each other. So it's an investigative tool. And I was in that role until July of 2009, when I was promoted to crime laboratory analyst in the crime scene section with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. And then I was in that role until I made the change to a laboratory analyst in the firearms section in March of 2018, where I began my training. And it was an 18-month program where it was a lot of readings, a lot of hand-on trainings and practicals, oral assessments, written assessments. And then once I successfully completed that phase with an oral board, then I went to about 6 months of supervised casework conducted under a certified analyst in that section. And then that was successfully completed with a mock trial in October of 2019.
Thank you, ma'am. As an analyst at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, do you have to undergo proficiency testing in your position?
Yes, every year.
Have you passed that proficiency testing?
Every year, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Have you ever testified previously in the state of Florida in the field of firearms identification?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
Over 20.
Your Honor, at this time, I would tender this witness as someone who's authorized to give opinion testimony in the field of firearms identification.
Any cross-examination of voir dire?
No questions, Your Honor.
I'll allow her to testify in the form of an opinion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did you receive any evidence in this case, Ms. Williamson?
Yes, I did.
I want to show you State's Exhibit 14. Ms. Williamson, if you could please take a look at that and let me know if you received this item of evidence in your involvement in this case.
Am I allowed to open it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, I recognize this.
Yes, ma'am, and if you could please describe to the jury again what that is.
This white box contains a .380 auto caliber pistol and 2 magazines, as well as a tape-sealed manila envelope containing my agency test fires. I recognize this item because this yellow sticker here is the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's barcode. This is how we basically keep electronic chain of custody through our laboratory. It has our unique case number on it, as well as my handwriting is on the exterior of the package and on all the items inside the box.
Thank you. So you received this item of evidence. Did you do any type of examination on that firearm, the Remington 380?
Yes, I not only did a visual examination to ensure that it would be safe to fire, and I did a physical exam, and then I actually did test fire this pistol.
You test fired the pistol there at your laboratory?
Yes.
What type of ammunition did you use for the test fire?
In this case, I used, it was a Remington brand. It was a .380 auto caliber, because that's what the pistol is, and it had a full metal jacket projectile.
Ma'am, when you test fired the Remington
What?
380 pistol, there states item 14, did the firearm function as designed?
Yes, it did.
So the firearm was fully operative?
Yes.
Thank you. I want to give you another piece of evidence, ma'am. This is State's Exhibit 11. If you could please take a look at that as well. Did you receive that item of evidence, ma'am?
Yes, I did.
All right, and if you could just describe for the jury again what that is.
Yes, this is a fired .380 auto caliber cartridge case that I received as my item number 3 And again, it has that FDLE barcode. It has my handwriting on the outside of the package, as well as my handwriting on the actual cartridge case.
Now, ma'am, that cartridge case, if you could just explain to the jury kind of what a cartridge case is and how it is involved in the firing of a pistol.
Yes, so an unfired round of ammunition is actually called a cartridge. An everyday person might call it a bullet, but it's actually called a cartridge. And the cartridge contains a projectile, or the bullet contains gunpowder. It has a primer that contains the initiation system to fire that round. And the cartridge case is the metal area that actually houses the gunpowder, and the bullet sits inside of it. So during the firing process, the firing pin of the firearm will strike the primer, which starts that whole process of igniting the gunpowder. The gunpowder then creates all this pressure inside the cartridge. The cartridge case will obturate or expand inside the chamber of the firearm, which then causes the pressure to expel the bullet out of the barrel of the firearm, and then making the firearm, in this case, a semi-automatic pistol, unlock, open, which extracts and ejects the fired cartridge case, throws it somewhere on the ground, usually as the bullet is exiting the barrel, and then the slide returns to a closed position. And this all happens in like a fraction of a second.
So the empty cartridge case, there you have it, states Exhibit 11. That's what's ejected from the firearm when you fire a round.
Correct.
Now, did you examine that shell casing, states Exhibit 11, for any purpose in your analysis?
Yes, I did a visual exam just to determine if it had these firing marks, as well as doing a microscopic comparison.
And what was your goal in that type of microscopic analysis to see from the shell casing?
Yes, so after I test fired the pistol that I received, I microscopically examined my test fires that I created in-house, and I compare those to each other because I test fire the pistol twice, and I compare those test fires to each other just to get an idea of how this firearm marks the ammunition. And then once I complete that, then I can microscopically compare the test fires from the pistol to any evidence that I have. And so that's what I did here, using using a comparison microscope, which has two stages where I can mount two separate items of evidence, but visualize them through one singular ocular bridge. And I can use like a crosshair that I can basically go from side to side and, look up at any correspondence that there is to each other.
Now, did you determine that the shell casing you received in item 11 was able to be compared to the test fire shell casings that you fired there at your laboratory?
Yes, I did.
And now, did you do any type of comparison, or did you do an analysis to reach an opinion on the shell casing?
Yes, I did.
And what was that opinion?
My opinion was that the cartridge case that I received was fired in the pistol.
Okay. So just to clarify, if I may, so this shell casing right here states Exhibit 11, in your opinion, after your analysis was identified as having been fired from this pistol.
Yes.
States Exhibit 14.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, ma'am, I want to give you another piece of evidence in this case. States Exhibit 17. Please take a look at that as well.
I recognize that.
Okay. And did you receive that item of evidence in this case, ma'am?
Yes, I did.
Now, did you perform any type of analysis or examination on that projectile?
Yes, I did.
If you please just explain to the jury what a projectile actually is.
Yes, the projectile is the part of that cartridge I previously described that actually travels down the barrel of a firearm and is, goes to its intended target or wherever. The projectile is also called a bullet.
Now, when you did an examination of the projectile, what was your goal of that examination of that projectile?
The examination, I began by measuring it. I can measure the diameter of it and I weigh it, and it gives me an idea of the caliber class that it belongs to. I also put it on my microscope and look at what's called lands and grooves that are created during the firing process. These lands and grooves are what are inside the barrel of a firearm. They are basically helical grooves that are cut out of a barrel of a firearm that creates a twist, a spin to the bullet as it travels. So imagine if someone like me throws a football, it's going to go all over the place. And then somebody like Tom Brady has a beautiful spin. And so that's what that rifling does. It creates that spin so the projectile doesn't yaw all over the place. So I'm looking at those lands and grooves. I make note of the direction of them because some firearms twist to the left, some twist to the right. Some have larger lands and grooves, some have smaller, some have 6, some have 5, some have 10. So I'm making note of all of these things because that's what's called class characteristics, and I know whether or not to even compare it to a suspect firearm.
So you examined that projectile that you received right there on the podium.
Yes.
You also said you test fired the pistol in your laboratory. Did you collect those projectiles from when you test fired the pistol?
Yes, because I test fire in a giant water tank, so that way I can easily remove the projectiles from the water and examine those.
Now, did you do any type of comparison analysis between that projectile that you received in state 17 and the test fired projectiles you did in your lab?
Yes, I did.
And what was kind of the conclusion of your analysis?
After doing a microscopic comparison, I came to the conclusion that this bullet was fired from that pistol.
So just to clarify, Ms. Williamson, it's your opinion that this projectile in State's Exhibit 17 was fired from this pistol?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions for Ms. Williamson.
Cross-examination, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good morning.
The capacity of the 2 magazines that you analyzed was 6, right? For each?
Yes,
And you did not do ejection pattern analysis on the firearm, is that right?
correct. I do not.
FDLE just doesn't have that, doesn't have ejection pattern analysis at all, right?
Correct. We don't do that.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you.
No further questions.
She's excused.
Yes, sir.
You're excused, ma'am. Have a nice day. Thank you. Next witness, please.
State Golf Detective Ryan Stiff.
This is one of the detectives that interviewed her in the interrogation that we watched yesterday.
Is that you, woman? Did you swear affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please introduce yourself to the jury, sir.
Good morning. My name is Ryan Stith, and I'm a detective with the Marion County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been with the Marion County Sheriff's Office?
6.5 years,
And how long have you been a detective with them?
4 years.
What do you do on a day-to-day basis as a detective?
In our major crimes unit, I investigate mostly violent crimes such as robberies, homicides, but also missing persons cases, suspicious deaths also.
Did you become the lead detective on this case of State of Florida versus Susan Lorincz?
Yes, sir, I did.
And how was it that you became the lead detective as opposed to another detective?
Yes, sir, I was the on-call that week, so we break up our rotation between the detectives, and basically if there's a crime or a call that requires major crime response, that detective would respond and become the lead investigator.
Let me direct your attention to June 2nd of 2023. Did you respond to the scene of this shooting in this case?
Yes, sir.
What was going on when you arrived?
When I arrived, There were multiple deputies on scene. They had secured the residence at number 3 apartment with yellow caution tape. There was a deputy who had started a crime scene log, and there were multiple residents of the area that were out and about at the time.
Was Susan Lorincz still on scene?
Yes,
Where was she located?
she was in the back of a patrol vehicle.
Do you see her here in court today?
Yes, I do.
Can you please point her out and tell me what she's wearing?
Yes, sir. She's wearing a purple sweater.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant.
Also reflect.
Did you determine her date of birth?
I'm sorry?
Did you determine the defendant's date of birth?
Yes, I
What
did.
was it? What is it? You don't
I'm
remember?
not sure.
Do you have your
offhand.
report handy?
Yes, I do.
Would it refresh your memory if you could take a look at your report?
I believe I just have the narrative here, so I don't know if I have her date of birth
That's okay.
on it.
Did you come to learn that Ms. Lawrence had a cell phone in her possession?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you eventually take possession of the cell phone?
Yes, sir.
Where was the cell phone located when you took possession of it? How did you get it?
I took possession from Deputy Stringer, who was on scene.
Showing us the mark that states Exhibit R for identification. You take a look at that and tell me if you recognize it.
Yes, sir.
What is it?
It is a packaging containing an Apple iPhone with my initials.
Can you open it up, look inside?
Yes, sir.
and recognize the contents?
All right. Yes, sir.
What is it?
It's an Apple iPhone that I collected from the scene.
Is it the same or substantially the same condition as when you collected it that evening?
Yes, sir. It is
Crime
appeared to be.
State would move R into evidence as 18.
Any objection?
No objection.
So that objection states R will be in evidence as number 18.
What did you do with the phone after you took possession of it?
I took it back to the Marion County Sheriff's Office where it was placed into a secure digital forensics lab.
At some point, was the phone provided to forensic analyst Jesse Newbanks with the sheriff's office?
Yes, sir.
When was that done?
Once we responded back to the major crimes unit inside the sheriff's office.
And what was the purpose of handing the phone over to Jesse Newbanks?
I plan to generate a search warrant for the contents of that phone.
And was that search warrant eventually granted, giving you or another individual from the sheriff's office the ability to go into that phone and extract data?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any involvement in that extraction process?
No, I did not.
I asked you a few minutes ago the defendant's date of birth. If I give you a copy of the entire report, would that refresh your memory?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Remember date of birth?
Yes, sir.
What was it?
July 23rd, 1964. Thank you.
At some point, was the defendant transported from the scene to the Marion County Sheriff's Office?
Yes,
Was she interviewed there?
yes, sir.
Where was that interview done?
It was conducted at the Major Crimes Unit within the Central Operations Complex of the Sheriff's Office.
Who was present during the interview?
It was myself and Detective Kip Peterson.
And what does Detective Peterson do?
At the time, he was a detective within the Major Crimes Unit.
Was the defendant under arrest at the time she was being interviewed?
No, sir.
Was the interview both audio and video recorded?
Yes, it was.
Was the entire interview audio and video recorded?
Yes, sir.
Did you read the defendant what are called Miranda warnings prior to asking her any questions about the case?
Yes, sir.
What are those?
Miranda warnings are a set of instructions typically read by law enforcement to someone who's in custody before any questioning. Basically making sure that they understand that they are free to not speak with us and to have counsel present before any questioning.
Did she agree to waive those rights and provide an interview to you?
Yes, sir.
Did you force her or threaten you in any way to get her to talk to you?
No, sir.
Did you promise her anything in order to get her to talk to you?
No, sir.
Showing us mark the state's exhibit S is in Sam. Do you recognize that disc?
Yes, sir.
What is that disc? What's on it?
This disc contains the video.
My bad,
and audio
guys. Sorry.
interview, on June 3rd of 2023.
Have you reviewed that disc?
Yes, sir.
Does it fairly and accurately depict the relevant portions of her interview that you conducted with her on the 3rd of June?
It does.
And how do you know you watched that disc?
My initials and ID number are present from where I initialed it.
This time, Your Honor, the state would move states S as in Sam into evidence as 19.
Subject to our previous objections, Your Honor.
I'll recognize the previous objections. I'll overrule them. It'll be in evidence in states number 19.
I'm also showing you states exhibit T as in Tom. Have you prepared transcripts of that interview?
Yes, sir, I am.
And did you listen to the disc with the interview at the same time reading transcripts?
Yes, sir.
Are the transcripts accurate as far as what's on that disc?
Yes, sir, they are.
This time, Your Honor, I'd request to publish the interview and provide the jury transcript pursuant to the court's ruling.
Judge, may we approach just briefly?
Sure.
That's the family. That's mom with the braids. I'm not sure who the other two ladies are, maybe sisters, cousins, aunties, but definitely this is all the family sitting in the
Ladies and gentlemen,
front.
I want you to listen carefully to some instructions I'm going to give you before the videos are played. One of them I've already given you, but I'll give it to you again. Members of the jury, you are about to view or listen to an audio or video recording. The court instructs you that the recording has been edited to eliminate irrelevant portions that would not add to your understanding of the case. The fact that the recording has been edited should not concern you in any way and must not impact the way you view or listen to and consider this evidence. You are about to hear and watch a recorded interview that contains opinions and statements by Detective Ryan Stith, Detective Kip Peterson, and Detective Daniel Pender to Susan Lorincz. These opinions and statements are pertinent only to explain the reactions and responses they elicit. You are not to consider these opinions and statements by the police officer, or in this case, police officers, as true, but only to establish the context of Susan Lorinc's reaction and responses. You are about to hear recorded conversations. These recorded conversations are proper evidence, and you may consider them just as any other evidence. You are also being furnished transcripts of the recorded conversations. The recordings are the evidence. The transcripts are provided to you only as a guide to help you follow as you listen to the recordings. The transcripts are not evidence of what was actually said or who said it. If you notice any difference between what you hear on the recordings and what you read on the in the transcripts, you must rely on what you hear, not what you read.
Did you additional transcripts and data also?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. I- Let me know when you're ready to actually put it on. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you need the volume up or down, please give me the up or down signal.
Hi.
I'm sorry, I was sitting here because I was freezing.
Oh, it is chilly in here, isn't it? Susan?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm Detective Stitt. I'm Detective Peterson.
okay.
Can we just get you to slide that chair back over here just a moment? I'm sorry to keep you waiting so long. We just had a lot we had to sort through before we could come and talk to you. So again, I'm Detective Stitt. I'm an investigator here with the Sheriff's Office. Could you give me your, spell your name for me? Is it
It's
Susan?
Susan, S-U-S-A-N,
And do you have a middle name
Louise, L-O-U-I-S-E.
and your last name?
Lawrence, L-O-R-I-N, C as in cat, Z as in zebra,
Thank you. And what's your date of birth? Susan?
7/23/64.
And your address?
1662 Southwest 107th Lane, Ocala, Florida, 34476.
And you live in apartment
Yes.
number
Three.
3?
Mhm.
What's a telephone number for you?
352-777-5909.
5909?
Mhm.
Okay. So, do you know a reason why we're,
Oh, absolutely.
okay. So, did the deputies like cuss on you or
Yes.
anything with it? Because there's a lot of things going on and we're trying to sort through the moving pieces to try to figure out what happened.
Mhm.
So naturally, they want to secure
Understood.
the scene in that, under that circumstance and then, to handcuff you.
Mhm.
So we're working this investigation and, at this point, you're not free to leave, so I have to make you aware of your rights, okay, before we talk. So I have to read this to you. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any question if you wish. You can decide at any time to execute these rights, not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of those rights I've explained to you?
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I'm trying to clarify all the events that happened tonight and to try to, because really I only have, statements from people that were out there. And I would like to get your side of things and try to
Okay.
understand what exactly happened tonight, or last night now, I guess it is.
Good thing. Basically, the neighbors were out there screaming, yelling. The kids were running back and forth. I had a miserable headache. Went inside, laid down. They finally got quiet. I came outside and the three boys were there. I'm like, guys, you're trespassing. Come on, go out of here. And he's like, I want this and I want that. And if you want this, I'm like, oh, okay, little big kids, because they're all really young. And
So you say you came out and they were.
I wanted to check my truck. Every time I had my truck on one side, the kids would throw the balls and hit the truck.
Okay.
So I moved the truck to the other side, then they moved themselves to the other side, and they keep just,
Just
pains in the ass.
antagonizing you.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
horribly.
Okay, so when you said that you came outside and they were there, the three boys were there, where were they at?
They're right in front of, that little cove that's
Like
there.
the privacy fence?
They were right there. Right
Okay,
in front.
inside the privacy fence? Like
No.
on your patio or
No, they were
outside?
just right outside.
Okay,
And I'm like, guys, come on, leave. Because I wanted to check the truck and everything. And then they were like, I'm gonna tell my mom, I'm like, go tell your mom, I don't care, And,
have you had problems with them
oh
before?
my God, yes. And they've been harassing me last week. They came up they were actually in the vestibule area. And they were like, wake up, wake up. I was watching TV. I'm like, really seriously? Because, after a nice long shift, that's just when I want to hear these little lines.
How long have you lived there?
3 years,
3 years?
Mhm.
Okay. And how long have you been having problems with them?
like 2 years.
2 years?
Ever since she was.
Is it just those same three or do you have problems with any, does anyone else give you problems?
They want to play on that part where Charles Owens and the other part. And I'm like, guys, come on. give me
Which
some-
part is that? I'm not sure, I don't know who Charles is.
Charles is 11. So there's, one of the cops came out and said, oh, it's an open lot. It's not an open lot. It's an abutment of 2 properties. I'm like, guys, come on, give me some peace, because in my apartment, there's, sliding glass doors, and then I have the 2 bedrooms up front. And because it's an open, concept, just you can hear every sound.
Sounds travel.
And it's horrible, and I'm like, go play on the other side. We don't want to play on the other side. We'll play over here. I'm like, oh, good gravy, and so they just, every time they see me, they get together and scream me out.
They live in the same building?
No, none of them live there. I was gonna say, one set of kids lives there, but the other sits on the other side. They will play on your side of the road, come on.
Okay, so they were being obnoxious out there tonight,
Oh,
and they finally got quiet, but then you go outside and the 3 of them are out there.
Yeah, and I didn't want to go any further because he's like, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. I'm like,
Who said that?
Ajike's kids.
Okay, so who was it?
Ajike, I think her name is.
Okay,
She actually had thrown a sign at me before. She picked up the no trespassing sign and just threw it at me. She's like, here, take your fucking sign. I'm like, it's not mine, it's Charles. He doesn't want you guys here.
Mhm.
So it's just, she's been in my mailboxes. She sends the kids in the mailboxes.
When did she throw a sign at you?
I said last year, just after I had my neck fused. I'm like, oh, good gravy.
What kind of sign? Like one of the ones you buy at the store, like a plastic, like on
It
the
was a
fence?
metal sign with a little metal, like a real estate sign. It had no trespassing, so it was about that by that. And yeah.
is it the same one that was out there tonight, or is it different?
Mhm.
Okay.
They stole that sign.
So what happened tonight that led to the conclusion that?
Well,
that
I'm like, kids, go home. So they go home, and then all of a sudden she comes out and she is just banging on my door. I'm like, go away. I'm not dealing with you tonight. And then she started banging so hard, everything started shaking. And I'm like, you really need to leave. And then she's, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And she's just banging away. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Ever since she has actually harmed me, I'm like, it just keeps getting worse and worse. I'm like, I don't know what to do with her. And she banged so hard, it looked like my door was gonna fly off. And I panicked. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's really gonna kill me this time, And so I don't even actually remember picking up the gun. I just remember shooting.
Where do you keep the gun usually?
It's in my bedroom.
That's
So,
where you keep
yeah,
it,
I
like
keep it in the bedroom.
in a cabinet or something, or just like?
It's just, I actually keep it in the trash can
Okay.
next to the bed.
Nobody would look in there probably, right?
And I didn't think about it, and I'm like, oh my God, and I just started panicking, and I really feared for my life. I mean, honest to God, I was like, oh Jesus Christ, I'm a nervous wreck. I'm not supposed to be getting nervous or anything like this because I have an aneurysm on my left kidney artery. And so they're like, just you're supposed to stay calm, you're not supposed to do anything. And this woman just keeps antagonizing me. She's got the kids calling me. I'm a doctor of degree. Do not talk to me like I am one of your peers.
So they don't really have any respect.
No respect.
So AJ, she came to your door
Oh, yeah.
and she was
pounding on it. I was like, what the hell? My cats went flinging.
what was she saying? Was she saying anything?
You don't talk to my sons. I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, and I was like in tears. I'm like shaking, and I'm like, oh my God. And I thought she had gone away, and then she starts banging again. I'm like, oh shit.
Did she like try to come inside?
She was trying as hard as she could.
And what do you mean?
That door was moving, and I'm like, holy shit.
Like, did she try the door handle, or is she just beating on it to try to push it in, or what?
She was just, just trying to push it in, and I was like, oh my God.
Usually, it's back. Side.
Okay. So what was she saying again?
She's like, you can't talk to my sons that way. I'm like, you're trespassing,
So you were communicating with her through the door?
Yeah, I'm like, all right, just leave. I don't want to hear it. I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna fucking kill you. And I didn't think too much of it until she really started pounding that door. And I'm like, oh my God. Then I got scared, like terrified, scared.
Now you had initially called,
Because it was.
did you call 911 or
Yeah,
did you use the non-emergency number when you called?
When the first time, because kids said, I'm gonna kill you, and my friends kill you, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell's going on now? I'm like, I don't need this aggravation.
Okay. So you called, was it 911?
Yeah, I called 911.
Okay. And that was, before,
Before
AJ
she-
came
yeah,
over?
before she
Okay.
came over.
And the kid, okay, so we get like, as the deputies are responding, the
Mhm.
call taker's talking to you, they're putting information that you're telling them into the computer, which goes to us as we're going out there. So in that call notes, there's never any mention of you saying that they said that they're gonna kill you. It was more or less that they're harassing you, that
Oh, no, I told the lady that they
Okay.
said they were gonna kill me.
okay,
No, I was very specific when I spoke.
okay. Now, did you see who was out there at that time?
I just knew it was AJ by her voice. She screamed at me before, and I'm like, oh, great, it's her again, And I just, like I said, I just panicked and I just got so frightened. I was like, oh my God, she's really gonna do it this time. She's gonna kill me.
Were you still on the phone with 911 when you fired the gun?
No. I thought that the kids went, and I was like, all right, I'll go check my truck in the morning. I didn't even leave, I just went back to the house, locked the doors.
So, but you had already contacted 911.
Yeah.
Did they advise you that someone was responding, an
Yes,
officer
they
was
did.
responding?
They said
Okay.
something out and they said, lock the doors, make sure you don't go outside. I'm like, okay, usual.
And where were you at when she was pounding on the door? Were you?
I was actually in the bathroom.
You were in the bathroom. I haven't been inside, so how does it, like, when you go in through the front door?
It's all open. So
Okay.
you can see kind of the bathroom right from the front door.
Okay.
So.
And you were still able to hear her?
Oh,
She
oh
was
my
able to
God,
hear
yes.
you, that as far as you know?
I don't know if she was able to hear me. I mean, she was just screaming for all she was worth. I'm like, stop, and just, she wouldn't stop. I'm just like a dick.
What else was she saying besides what you told me? Was she saying anything else?
She was just, some of it was unintelligible.
Okay.
So she was just ranting.
So I noticed there's, you have a couple cameras in the house?
Yes.
Okay. And are those like Ring cameras or Arlo
They're
or
bling.
Blink? Okay.
Then I have the one at the door, but when it gets dark out, they don't pick up anything, which sucks.
Do they record sound though, or
I
like,
have no
is it
idea.
all motion where it only records when it captures
only-
motion?
Yeah, when it captures motion.
Okay. But those are working cameras?
I don't know if the door, they'll pick anything up. You can look at it and stuff.
Is that through your phone that you were able to review that, or computer, or how do you,
phone.
through your phone? Okay.
But I don't think it picked it up because I didn't get a ding.
Okay. So prior to her coming over there, and banging on your door, because we talked to a lot of people that were out there at the time, and there was some statements given to us that you had taken a tablet or picked up a tablet that was
No,
on the
sir,
ground?
absolutely not.
No? Okay.
That,
Is it one of the older ones?
yeah.
Okay. And what was the deal with the roller skate? Because again, we talked to a lot of people who were outside and kind of witnessed some of
They
this.
keep leaving all their toys around. The other day, I almost killed myself going out. I had an early morning doctor's appointment, and I didn't see the roller skate, and I almost killed myself. I'm like, guys, stop already. This is not your garbage yard.
Mhm.
The kid's got his roller skates there. And I'm like, take your roller skates. I threw the roller skates. I'm like, go fetch them. Just enough. Because.
Did you throw it at them?
Oh,
or-
God, no.
Okay.
No, I just.
And what is
threw-
the thing about the umbrella? You have an umbrella?
I thought it was raining before, and I walked out and it wasn't raining. I'm like, okay. So.
And you like swung it at them or so, or one of them?
I wasn't even close. I was still inside the vestibule. So.
How can we explain that then with people saying, like multiple people that weren't like talking to each other, that if they were saying that that's what they saw?
I don't know. Maybe I did step out and I'm like, guys, go away, but I would never touch them.
Okay. You like swat at them with it, but not.
Exactly. If I did it, it was probably because I was just so, like, come on.
But I know, at least say if you did, but is that what happened? I mean, we gotta kind of get specific about this because it's a big deal.
I understand. That.
Someone's dead.
Jesus Christ.
So that's why I say it's important to be specific and honest about everything. So.
It was only because she was pounding at my door, and I honest to God thought she was gonna come in.
Okay. So we have, over in our communication center, they're putting together, because all the calls that come into 911 are audio recorded, and there were several people, even before, who were recording and getting audio of exactly what's being said, not to mention if your camera's captured anything, okay? So that's why I'm like asking you before we go through that, and if something is different than what you're telling me, we need to clear that up now, because if,
Okay.
you know what I mean, if the evidence shows something different than what you're saying, it doesn't look good, and I wanna be open and honest with you. So
I
that-
just know that she was pounding and pounding on the door and scaring the shit out of me.
Okay.
You know?
But is there any reason why, if we reviewed that evidence, she wasn't saying, I'm gonna kill you?
That's what I heard.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I honestly got heard, you know, it's just what I heard.
Okay. Did you ever look out the door to see? And I know you said you kind of recognized her voice, so,
I never looked out the door.
okay.
I was afraid to get to my door, to be brutally honest. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna bust it in. And she's gonna-
Where were you standing when you shot the gun? And you said you shot the gun
Oh, yeah.
through the door?
Yeah, through the
Okay.
door. I just panicked. It was probably at the kitchen table somewhere.
Okay, by the kitchen table.
Mhm.
And how many times did you shoot the gun?
Once.
Just once? What kind of gun is it?
It's a Remington 380.
Is that the only firearm you have in the house?
No, there was a 22 Ruger.
Where's that one at?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I picked it up or not. I have no idea. Maybe the garbage can.
And after you fired the round, what did you do?
She said, ow, and I went, oh my God, I hit her. It just, clicked, I hit her. Oh, Jesus Christ. And I thought I just, nicked something. I never ever.
And did you go out there?
No,
You didn't go out there?
No.
Did you call 911 back?
yes, I did call
Okay.
911.
And what did you say?
And I said, she was pounding on my door and I shot my gun. Well, I'm pretty sure that's what I said.
Okay.
And she was threatening me and she was saying, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. So,
So it's a Remington 380.
Mhm.
Is it a revolver or
no,
a semi-automatic?
it's a pistol. And then it's semi-automatic.
What color is the Remington?
Black.
Black. And that's your firearm?
Yes.
Okay. So again, we're trying to get to, and there's always two sides, right?
Mhm.
And when there's the truth is somewhere usually lying in the middle somewhere. And I'm not trying to discredit what you're telling me, and I understand your concerns about, this is your area. You want to be able to be relaxed and not have to worry about all this. Basically, yeah. But unfortunately, we can't get the other side from Ajike.
Ajike, I think her
Jake.
name is. It's Ajike.
Right. But we can't ask her side,
Mhm.
right? So then we have to go by other people who may have seen or heard things, video, 911 call recordings and things like that.
Telling you what I know.
So is it
feasible to say that this is just got to a boiling point for you that you couldn't take it anymore? And because
No,
again, if this,
this was
listen, if
absolutely
this stuff
terrible.
happened in the past,
Mhm.
I get it, but we're talking about a specific event tonight where she didn't make it a point that she was trying to come in. She was trying to get your attention to say, apparently, to stop throwing things at her kids, whether you actually, I know, listen, kids can lie, I get it. And I'm just saying, whether that actually happened or not, that's what she believed, because that's what she was told by her one of her sons. So she was coming over there to, I mean, does that ring a bell of her telling you, not to be throwing things? No? What specific words do you recall that she said?
I just remember her saying, don't talk to my sons that way, and I'm gonna fucking kill you. I mean, that's what I heard. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
And you're sure when you were on the phone with 911, you told them that she said that?
I'm almost positive.
Yeah, I mean, if someone was, the reason why I ask is because, like, if someone, let's say I'm not a police officer, or, you know, right, and I'm just at my house and someone's like beating on my door saying, I'm gonna kill you, or I'm gonna fucking kill you, oh my God, they're banging on my door, they're saying they're gonna kill me. Like, that's a very fear-provoking statement when somebody, you know, if you're in a legitimate fear that someone's gonna come through your door and kill you, if you're already on the phone.
I wasn't on the phone though, I was in the bathroom when she
You
started.
were on the phone with 911?
No, I was already off the phone with 911.
Okay, so she had already maybe made that statement before you even called.
So the second time,
Anytime.
I was gonna say the second time, when I called, she had already said it,
Okay.
so.
But the second time you called was after you had fired the
Yes.
gun? Okay, so,
And maybe I misunderstood, because what my understanding was before I had to walk out of the room was that when she was knocking on your door,
It wasn't enough.
the way,
Sorry.
I understand, you said that it got worse, like so I'm starting off with
No,
and
she
then we're
never-
gonna get
No,
harder.
she started off banging on that door. I mean, it was, you
But
know,
during that initial time is when you had said before that she had made the statement that, you know, she was gonna kill you.
yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just,
No, it's important that we learn the details, so that way, as we gather and collect evidence, the details are what help us piece that together so we can see the big picture, right? I'll tell you that even as law enforcement officers, if we make a decision to, you know, use deadly force against someone, we have to sit and explain the same way with details. I did this because of this, making me feel like this, right? We're just trying to understand the details of what happened from your point of view. So as we gather our evidence, we can.
understood.
does anyone else live with you, Susan?
No.
Okay, how long have you owned your firearm, or firearms, or any firearm really?
Trying to remember, like around 10, maybe a year ago.
Okay, and was it just for personal, like protection,
Yes, it
personal
was.
protection?
Yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
carry it with you
No.
if you go out, just for home?
Only if I take it to the range.
Okay. Do you do that often, or how often do you think that you've shot at the range?
Like 4 or 5 times. I used to be terrified of firearms. And then when the first time she threw the things at me and she was just so horrible to me, I'm like, I had just had neck surgery. And I'm like, she could have really killed me, you know? And I just was like, oh dear God, she was just violent.
So your door is kind of like, probably not wood or whatever, but you can't really see through it. There's no
No.
windows or anything like that. And I know your sliding door is a little further over, but something that he mentioned, you know, as far as our training, when we have to go through making a judgment decision where we might have to pull the trigger, we have to know what we're firing at is a deadly threat, or what we recognize as a deadly threat. So my question is, how do you know what you're firing at when you're firing through a door that you can't see through, when you don't know if there's also a child outside standing there? Or, I mean, basically I'm asking you, what were you aiming at and what were you intending to do when you fired that gun?
I was just fearful of my life. And I was just like, go away, go away. That's all I could think was just get out of the situation, you know, just go away already. And,
But when you fire through a door that's closed, was it locked?
yes, it was locked.
Okay. And, you know, you said you're in the bathroom, which I understand you said it's kind of an open floor concept in there. So it's kind of open, but I'm assuming there's obviously there's walls around the bathroom. You've got a door, you can close it. I'm not saying that you're within your right, you're in your house, you don't have to do that. But if I'm looking at a door that's secured and whether someone's banging on it or not, law enforcement's already on the way. At what point do you, you know,
The door is broken.
the door's broken?
Like that whole side panel, people have, she's pounded on it more than once. And he fixed it, but when everything started rattling so much, I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna bust through it.
Okay.
You know?
So it's broken right now, or it was broken before and then the landlord fixed it?
He didn't, sure, right there. He put screws through it so that the centerpiece was supposed to stay in there, but she was pounding it so hard. I mean, everything was just rattling, and I'm like, oh my God, it sounded like a horse kick. It
So
was so loud.
one thing that I think my partner was trying to get at, and I don't know that I actually heard an answer to the question. When you're inside the house and she's on the other side of a door that you can't see through and she's pounding on the door, you make the conscious decision to aim your gun at the door and fire one round, right? Just one round?
Yes.
Fire one round. Were you trying to hit her, or were you trying to scare her off? Were you trying to make a loud noise to say like, hey, I got a fucking gun, get away from my door? Or were you
I was never intending to hit her. I just thought, I thought I hit really high, you know, I was just like, kind of, you know, it's the first time I ever really used it, where I was, you know, like.
not on a paper target?
Exactly. I was like, oh my God. So I was shaking. I mean, I was just so distraught at that point in time. I'm like, oh my God, she's really gonna freaking come to my house. And I was just like, all I could think is go away, go away, go away, go away.
Did you mean to, were you aiming for the door?
I just fired the gun, because all I could think of is I felt like I was in mortal danger. I mean, it's just how I felt.
And what made you, I mean, I know someone's banging on the door, you feel like they could get in, but at that point where nobody had breached or been able to get through that secure door, what made you feel like that was the time that you needed to do that?
I usually have a chair propped up against the door at night.
Okay.
And I didn't have the chair up there, and I didn't have the chain on the door either. So just the one lock was locked. I'm like, oh shit, you know, of all the times that I never.
But before you decided to pull that trigger, you didn't think to try to put
I wasn't going near the door, because she was actually physically moving the door. You know, like you could see the door moving. I'm like, oh dear God.
So the thing is, and again, I can 100% sympathize with being fed up with that kind of harassment and that kind of disrespect. But also someone lost their life last night, right?
No, I absolutely agree for my life.
So this
was an absolute, it's either me or her. I mean, it's just like, I'm like, holy shit.
But did you see her with a gun or another weapon or anything like that?
But I don't know what she had on the outside, you know, when my lights were off, you know, so she came up, it was dark out. And I'm like, great, now she's pounding on my door, now she's scaring the crap out of me. You know, now my door's moving, and I didn't have it properly secured. And the next thing I thought she was gonna be in my house, you know, killing me. I mean, that's honest to God what I felt. You know, it's not like, you know, I'm fed up or anything, this was a real fear.
But when we first started talking, you said you made it very clear to the 911 call taker that she was threatening to kill you.
Yes, absolutely.
And if that's not on the recording, is there any reason why that's not on the recording?
I have no idea. I'm pretty sure I said it. So.
Are you just pretty sure she said it as well? That she
Oh,
was
no,
doing it?
absolutely, she said it.
Okay.
She was absolutely, you know.
So the way that I see it is kind of like this. you have two things that you are looking at when you're in your position. You have this fear, this imminent fear of great bodily harm, death, serious injury, right? Imminent fear. Or you have, I'm in my apartment, I'm scared as shit, and I'm trying to scare someone off. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you understand what the difference between those are?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand, do you have this imminent fear that you're about to die? Or do you have this, I'm afraid of what's gonna happen if this person doesn't go away? Does that make sense?
No, I felt like I was in imminent danger.
Okay. How would you define imminent danger? I just want to make sure that you because that's what the actual
Imminent
law.
danger of, let's say, someone coming at you with a nice 4-ton truck, straight at you, and, they're swerving with you when you're trying to run away.
Okay, so someone coming at you and you're this close to danger. Okay.
Now, the first time that you called 911 tonight or last night, at what point did you disconnect from the call? You called about basically the kids were on in your area and you didn't want them there.
Mhm.
At what point did you disconnect with them?
They hung up with me. They said, someone's on the way, just keep your doors and windows locked. And I said, okay.
But AJ wasn't there at that point.
No, she was not.
Okay. How long after you disconnected with them did she come over there, do you think?
I honestly thought it was you guys, someone banging on the door like that, because it felt, like really heavy bang bang, a guy doing it, and I was like, okay. Just kind of shocked me, I'm like, what the hell? And then she started screaming, and then, it was just weird because I just thought she is just so angry, and she's just ranting and pounding, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Well, from the information I got, she was angry and pounding because she believed that you had either struck or attempted to strike one of her kids with an umbrella and threw roller skates. And I'm not, again, I know how kids can be, they're not always very truthful about things. But I didn't have any information provided me out there. And of course, we're still going through evidence and that's an ongoing thing. But nothing that says that she threatened to kill you or that was doing anything more than trying to get you to come to the door. That she wanted you to open the door.
Why would I open my door to this woman? When she has.
I wouldn't either. I
When
get
she
it.
has thrown things at me, when
Right.
she has followed me a foot behind me. What the hell are you doing?
Right.
I mean, she's literally come up, we had words about 2 months ago. And I walked away, I said, all right, whatever. And, I said, I'm sorry, just because I wanted to diffuse it, de-escalate everything. I'm walking away and she's literally walking 1 foot behind me like she was, I said, oh my God, she's gonna pound me into the ground.
So, yeah, I mean, that's my question though, is if she wasn't trying to come in, she's just trying to get, and again, I wouldn't come to the door either. If you're beating on my door, wanting to cause something, I'm not answering it. But that's different than trying to bust the door down.
To me, she was.
And you
trying to
said that
bust
the
the
door's
door.
already broken, so
Yes.
how hard would it have been for her? Because she's kind of a big girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
How hard would it have been for her to break that door knowing you're on? You know your door better than I do, but if it's already.
Well, we did put the extra long deadbolt on and everything. I did have the deadbolt on, so I didn't know how long the door was gonna
See,
hold up.
and that's why I'm asking is
So-
because at first it's broken and now it's.
I don't know if they stopped it. It's still going, but
I don't feel secure. Every night I stick a chair under that door.
When did you install the new deadbolt, or did he did that? Someone else did it?
Yeah, Charles did it.
How long ago was that?
Just,
Charles equals landlord.
I did it a few months ago.
And what was the reason for that?
She had pounded on the door once before and found out everything I had fixed previously, she had cracked apart. Like I said, it's not the
What did
first
she,
time.
what did she pound on the door for last time? What happened with that?
I think I called her kid an idiot or something like that. And like, you see the signs, stop coming over here. And I can do anything I want. I can just go in. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, it's just.
And what did she do that time? She beat on the door? And
She beat on the door and like, go away.
did you call the police then?
I believe I called the police, and this when, you know, she heard me calling the police, then she went away.
She went away. What was she trying to get you? Was she that
I have
time?
no idea. I have no idea what this woman is thinking. I mean, to me, she's just terrifying. At this point in time, you know, I just thought she is not mentally stable, and, you know, every time something happens, oh, it's my children, you know, they're 100% little angels, and of course, you know, you're demonized, and like, Jesus Christ.
But was she trying to get in that time? Or was she just beating on the door and ranting and raving about you calling her son an idiot?
I think she was ranting and raving about me calling him an idiot.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, whatever, you know, go away, you bother me.
Okay.
But at that point in time, I had all the locks on, I had the chair up, you know, like.
Did you get your gun that time?
No. And it didn't feel, she wasn't as forceful that time as, you know, this time was, you know, like, oh my God.
And do you think the reason was because she believed that you threw something at her
I
kids?
don't know
or...
I have no idea what she was thinking. I can't even speculate. You know, all I know is she's like, you know, you screamed at my kids, or you said something to them, and then she's like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm like, fine.
And if your camera does work, do you you're confident that any video would back you up? Or and the reason I'm asking that is because this is the time, if there's any discrepancies, to clear that up now. And I'm just trying to be
I don't even know
forthright
if
with
we
you on
engaged.
that. What's that?
I don't even know if we engaged, because the last time she was there at night, I tried to play and nothing came up. So.
Did you ever know her to carry a weapon or anything?
But you can't tell who.
No, you never know. That's
I was
right.
gonna say,
Yeah. We have kids out here running around with firearms and stuff. So, but I guess my question is, what is it that she did that made that an immediate threat to your life that you had to shoot when you did, or you were gonna be harmed?
I thought she was coming right through that damn door. I mean, this guy was my witness. I thought that one was coming.
What made you think that she was coming?
Because everything was shaking. I mean, my mirror that was on the wall was shaking. I'm like, how do you shake a cement block house? I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. That's why I thought, you know.
So she was just beating like.
Oh, she was wild with it. I mean, she was bam, bam.
What is your door made out of? Is it like a metal or like a, I'm not sure.
I have no idea. And it just was like, oh, dear God, you know, I thought I was going to get my.
How long do you think she was hitting the door?
Oh, I can't even speculate, because it could have been seconds. It could have been, you know, when you get that fear response, and, you know, she banged on it. I was in the bathroom, came out of the bathroom, and she was still banging on it. So I don't know, maybe a minute or two.
And you didn't try to call 911 back at
But my
that
phone
point?
wasn't there. I didn't know where I put my phone.
You don't remember where you
No.
put your phone?
And I was like, crap, I can't find my phone.
Okay. So you have an app on your phone that lets you review the video?
Yes.
For your surveillance camera? Would you be willing to be able to let us look at that?
I don't have a phone.
Well, no, we have it in the
All right.
office
Okay.
over here, but
Yeah. Got it.
let me see what condition the battery's in, and I'll be back in just a
Okay.
moment, okay? Thank you. Susan. Looks like we got a little bit of juice in here. This is your phone, correct? Is that Apple iPhone?
Yes.
There's a passcode attached to it?
It faces.
Faces?
Yeah,
What's there's a numerical to it if you don't have your face?
Yes,
Do you mind providing that?
yes, I do mind.
You do mind?
I'll open it for you, that's no problem.
Okay. So this is a consent to search cellular phone and or other storage media. Okay, this is a form, I just read this to you. I want to make sure I have your address and everything. The undersigned residing at 1662 Southwest 107th Lane, is that right? Number 3, Ocala, Florida, does hereby authorize Detective Ryan Stipp and or other officers he may designate to assist him to search my cellular phone or their storage media described below, Apple iPhone. It's written permission to search without a warrant is given to me to the above officers freely and voluntarily without any threats or promises having been made. Do you understand all that?
Yes.
Okay. If you would sign on that line there, please. Thank you.
I just hope they bring the mom or somebody to talk about AJ and give her the respect she deserves. She's not just some lady who is banging on a door. She's a mom of 4 kids. I'm sure she worked hard. She's loved by her family. I hope somebody can come and deliver that message.
Is that correct though?
Remember if one's blank and one's ring, have to be brutally honest.
Okay, that's all
The
right.
2 up front are blanks.
Okay.
It's gonna be front door.
Oh, so they're both on. Oh, you have a few of them? Okay.
Vegas, she could get up to 30 years. Up to 30.
Just can't remember exactly. Do you remember when you called the first time?
No idea. That's when the kids were playing, they were so loud in the house.
Yes, it was.
That's the front. It'll say front door.
Okay.
I just wonder why they didn't park
Did you delete any
on.
videos? No?
Let me stop it for a second. I'm just wondering why in the interrogation that she felt threatened or the first incident happened with AJ or that she purchased the gun around the first or second time she had an incident with AJ. She bought that gun damn near with AJ's name on it. I'm just saying, if you're just now coming in, you missed that part. But if you heard when they were talking to her about the gun, it's like she purchased the gun revolving around an incident that occurred. And that gun had AJ's name on it. I just hope that they catch that part and mention it and then flip the optics on AJ and talk about her as a woman, as a mother. She had a boyfriend, as a daughter, and stop depicting her as a 5'7", almost 300-pound woman who was coming to bang down a door. Susan Louise is no small lady sitting here. She might be small now, but sis was packing on them pounds her damn self. So it doesn't matter. If you're going to throw rocks and hide your hands, you better be ready to deal with the fallout. Not to say the lady needed to come beat her ass or anything, but at the end of the day, leave people's children alone. That's it. That's all. Let me let it get back because I stopped the live. I'm gonna try. You know me, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, oh my God, I want to say something.
First time,
I'm sorry?
it's the first time I looked at it since before.
Okay.
That's why I didn't touch it, just let you have it.
So this is the only one, so this usually doesn't capture at night anyway, you
No.
say? Does it normally capture things during the night, like?
No, just look at
Victim impact statement. Somebody who I'm sure, because we didn't get to see all of yesterday. I'm sure someone depicted AJ in a different manner. Like all we're hearing is the moment that ma'am was banging on the door. But we're seeing, oh, I was in my house, I was in my computer, my bathroom, my vestibule, my this, my that. All we know, all I'm hearing if I'm a juror is there's a lady bamming on the door. She's 5'7". She's 200. She's 290 some pounds. I'm just saying. I hope that someone will talk about AJ as far as a woman, a mother, a daughter. She's missed all of the things. She was fiercely protective of her children. Just tell that story. So whether it's victim impact, or just the neighbors. Did you know AJ? What was she like? What was she? Did she? Was she out there with the kids? Like, you know what I'm talking about. Give her some, bring her to life. This is supposed to be justice for her. People need to know what's going on. We just see a scared older woman who is acting like someone's coming to kick her ass and she's defending herself. And that's not necessarily the case. This lady created this whole situation that bubbled up. She could not leave the fucking kids alone. She was so worried about what the kids were doing, she couldn't even get her work done. She's so bothered because this mother came to talk to her about not talking to her kids and leave the damn neighborhood kids alone. She goes out and buys a gun and lo and behold ends up using it and killing one of the neighborhood mothers. That's a problem. If if I were the prosecutor needs to light her ass up. He needs to light her up, in my opinion. Okay, we're falling behind now.
the dark screen,
Which one?
the yesterday.
Susan really had beef with the kids. She hates the kids.
And that captures a lot
And I'm
of,
talking about the neighborhood kids at large.
activity around there, I guess.
This could have been any of the kids. It just happened to be AJ and her kids.
Oh my God, they're ridiculous.
Okay. Um,
Did you want to open it again? Did you want to?
no, that's okay.
Okay.
But if it goes the way where you, are released, which I said, I don't know, I have to talk to him, I'll be 100% honest. Do you have family or someone that you could stay with if that's the case?
I was gonna say, I'm gonna go get a hotel room. I'm not gonna stay at my place. I have to get the cats and take them with me.
Okay. Well, I don't even know if, like, I understand your cat, there's nobody that would be able to go over there or
I
for
wouldn't
you.
want, my sister is a brittle diabetic and she's had amputations. God forbid they saw her and they wanted to do her harm, they could very, she can't run. She works with a cane.
All right, is there anything else that you can think of that I didn't ask or that might be helpful for figuring this all out?
Dear, I've never been in this situation before. This is all new and it's killing me.
All right, Susan, give me just a minute.
Okay.
So we continue the investigation. I don't think it's safe for you to go back to that house.
I don't think so.
But what we can do is provide you with a ride back there. You stay in the patrol car. How many cats do you have?
There's 2 cats.
2 cats. Do you drive that truck
Yeah,
that's there?
yeah,
Um,
that's my truck.
we can get the cats. Do you know where the keys are to your truck?
They're not-
Sure.
For the record, I have all 8 of the jurors' transcripts.
Sure.
So we saw in the interview that the defendant was not arrested that night, correct?
Correct.
Was there still additional interviews and things that you wanted to do as a detective before that decision was made?
Yes, sir.
Were you in the process of obtaining a search warrant that allowed law enforcement to go back into her house or to go into her house and search for evidence?
Yes, sir.
Because of that, was she able to go back to the house and go inside while you guys were doing that?
No, she wouldn't be.
Once the search warrant was signed and allowing you to go to the house to investigate and look for evidence, did you in fact go back to the residence?
Yes, I did.
Did you go inside?
Yes, I did.
Did you examine the door and the door frame?
Yes, sir.
Did you notice any shards of wood, splintered wood on the ground near the door?
No, sir.
Let me direct your attention to several days later. Let me back up. After the days following the shooting, as a lead detective, did you and other detectives further investigate the case?
Yes, sir.
Did you interview various witnesses and do what detectives do?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me direct your attention to several days later on June 6th of 2023. Interview with the defendant.
Yes, sir, I did.
Where was that done?
That was also at the Major Crimes Unit within the Marion County Sheriff's Office.
And did the defendant voluntarily come to the sheriff's office to be interviewed?
She was provided with a ride, I believe, yes.
Okay. Who else was involved in that interview?
It was myself and Detective Daniel Pender.
And what does Detective Pinder do for the sheriff's office?
And at the time, he was a major crimes detective also.
At the time of the interview, was the defendant under arrest?
No, she was not.
Was the entire interview, the second interview done on June 6th, was it audio and video recorded?
Yes, sir.
Did you again read the defendant Miranda warnings prior to asking her any questions about what happened?
Yes, I did.
Did she again waive those rights and agree to speak with you?
She did.
Did you force her or threaten her in any way to get her to talk to you the second time on June 6th?
No, sir.
Did you promise her anything to get her to talk to you?
I did not.
Showing you has been marked as State's Exhibit U for identification. Do you recognize that disc?
Yes, sir, I do.
What is it?
It is a video and audio recording of the interview with the defendant on June 6th.
Does that recording fairly and accurately depict the relevant portions of your interview that day?
Yes, sir, it does.
And is your initials on it?
It is.
Have you listened to it?
Yes.
This time, state would move you into evidence as state's 20.
Subject to our previous objections, Your Honor.
I recognize the previous objections, overrule them. It'll be in evidence that states number 20.
Were transcripts also prepared depicting what was said in that interview?
Yes, sir.
Have you reviewed those transcripts?
I have.
Have you compared the transcripts to the interview to make sure that the transcripts are accurate?
Yes, sir. I have.
Did you also initial and date those transcripts after you were done reviewing?
Yes, sir, I did.
I don't know if the court wants to take a break at this
Yeah, we'll
point.
take a break before we have another video. So we'll take about a 10-minute break, okay, everybody? Remember to put your notebooks down. Please don't discuss the case. Thank you. How long is the next interview?
An hour.
Okay. The juror lunches are here.
Whatever the court wants to do, we could.
Let me check on that and I'll
Okay, guys, I'm going to, this is what I want to do.
check on that.
As soon as they break, I think I'm going to shut this down for lunch, restart a new live because I do have some information to share on a different topic. So let me break this down. I do have like a little quick earnest
I'll be
update.
back in about 5 minutes. I'll let you know what the situation
Yeah,
is
so
regarding the lunches. Yes, sir.
let the judge come back and then we'll see what the break is going to look like. And then I'm going to come back with some information. Okay.
Probably take a lunch break. Because I don't want to run, then we'll just be a little bit early on that, on the other side, which is fine.
That is why.
Yes.
When I saw it, I was comparing them.
I don't blame you. Your experts are going to take, or she's going to testify.
Oops.
Yeah.
I think you're 36. Remember when we were 36?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, that's just as young, isn't it? You should say thank you.
I think he's gonna take some.
Oh, you do?
He just talked about it. Because he has. He said he's gonna check on the website. So we'll come back.
I'm not sure.
Did the judge say we're gonna quit after?
He doesn't know. He's going to come back. He knows what he wants to do.
Real call Rosie after what?
Like, I'm back there, but once I want to go back to patrol.
And then that's it for today, I guess.
Yeah, but let's go there.
Yeah, we've been after.
We could probably do jury instructions.
That should be real easy.
Yeah, I sent the
We
updated
figured it out. Okay,
correction.
thank you.
Yeah,
Then we can go right into closing. In the morning, in the morning.
like tomorrow. Yeah.
I do miss being able to put my phone down when I'm
Yes.
and not look at it again until the next day. It's not fun. It's part of that.
You're good, sir.
My birthday
Can you tell Susan that, after Shayla's not here, because her mom's here? Yeah, her mother-in-law. Yeah, because she's 90. She's gonna call her. Yeah, just let her know that, just Shannon was upset. She didn't.
We just assembled everybody. We're probably gonna take a lunch break. Lunches are here. We got.
Oh, now I'll take a lunch break?
Yeah, but I want to bring everyone in, let the juror know, because we got hour worth of video and then cross.
Okay.
So
It was Shandell Norford.
I got it down. Thank you. I thought your name was gonna be on the screen, so I didn't take it down.
Granted, it was, but we got it off.
Yeah, so I didn't take it down when you said it. So I was like, now it's on the screen. So let's get ready to bring her back out.
said we're gonna break for lunch now.
We're breaking.
For lunch is here.
Mr. Buxman, I had just told Mr. Smith and the other attorney that we're probably taking a lunch break because we got an hour worth of video and then cross. By that time, their lunch would be here for probably an hour and
Yes, sir.
15 minutes and probably not in the best shape I was ever in. So I'm just gonna announce that to the jury and then it's 11 o'clock and then we'll just break till 12. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to make sure you got witness. I mean, have you let your witnesses know that? Or?
Yes, after him, we only have one witness, and he's gonna be here at 12:45, so.
12:45.
Yes. Because he still has another hour and a half probably testimony.
Yeah, 12:45 be fine. I mean, you got an hour of video.
Yes, sir.
So, whatever is fine with me. So. Just so you know, ma'am, I was walking out. It wasn't you, the texter. It wasn't you who was texting. But there was another person. So. He has a telltale, looking down. Let's bring the jurors back in real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know what we're going to do at this point. It's my understanding from the attorneys, the next video is about an hour long, and then we have cross-examination after that. Your lunch has already been here. It's been here for a few minutes. I don't want you to have to wait, and I don't want your lunch to be sitting here for an hour before you eat it. So we're going to take our lunch break now and get that out of the way, and then we'll resume back right around noon or so. It's my understanding that we're probably going to finish a little bit early today. Hope you have no objection to that. You'll be free to go whenever we're done. We're going to get as many witnesses as we can, but sometimes witnesses have travel plans that we're trying to work with as well. I will let you know we're well on track to get finished on time. And with that, have a very nice lunch, okay? Leave no clicks here. So.
Hey guys, okay, we're on lunch break. I'm gonna set up another live, and we'll be back at whenever they turn back the camera on this. So give me just a minute, but I'm gonna do a quick live on just some information. Okay. I guess they're gonna turn off the feed. Maybe I don't know what they're doing. But yeah. I'm going to, let's see, are we still on the flag? Okay. All right, guys. I will be back after the break. Okay.